how can I manage to do something that I love and not being paid for it, because except for the love of the bike, I didn't get anything in return. I was actually riding on a pro level. I did every big race, but I was still working 5 shifts full time. Everyone who sees a chariot knows that there's a child in there, but they don't see how young it is. The advantage of the chariot is that you have a lot of space. You need to bring the thing that your child needs the most.
Welcome to Travel Devil. I'm your host Clara Francken, and in a world full of mass tourism, we're here to talk about unconventional travel. Let's get into it. Welcome to Travel Devil. Today we're talking about bicycle traveling with a family. Mostly when we think about bicycle touring, we think about solo travelers or young couples who travel by bicycle. But today we have an example of why bicycle traveling doesn't need to stop when you have kids. Today I'm talking with Fatima Berton. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, amazing. Fatima Berton is a former road racing cyclist from Belgium. She's now a multi-biker, a mom, and also a content creator. Would you like to first introduce yourself with your own words?
Like you said, my name is Fatima Berton, better known on social media as Bertoni. I used to be a non-professional cyclist, mainly because the pay degree in women's cycling wasn't what it is today. I made it my quest to talk about that on social media, to talk about the topics, the pain points in women's cycling, what led me to be a content creator. When I became a mom, I decided that life doesn't stop when you become a parent, and that you also can chase goals, and that you don't have to change your vision about that. So when I became a mom, I still was advocating for more women on bikes, especially because I have a daughter. I think it's very important that she has a role model in her life that shows that every dream is possible, no matter the gender that you have. So for me, it's very important to show to the world, to my own family, that things are just possible if you manage to make them possible.
Yeah, I'm already getting goosebumps and this conversation just started. So, yeah, I'm really excited about this topic because I think we can learn a lot from you. But before we get into the full topic, I want to know for you, when we're talking about bicycle traveling, which term do you identify the most with? Is it like bike packing? Are you cyclists? Bicycle touring? What is the word you prefer to use?
I prefer to use the term multi-biker because I do more than just traveling. I do more than just road racing. I do a lot of things. I ride with a lot of bikes. Sometimes I do backpacking. Sometimes I do the regular traveling when the bike goes on the plane. Sometimes we go by bike to a certain destination. Sometimes we go by car for a certain destination. So I can't put one name on myself. So I choose to be a multi-biker. I'm a recreational person who loves to ride bikes and who loves to travel, and I combine that in one word. So I'm a multi-biker.
I love that word. Okay, amazing. How many bikes do you have then?
Um, I have 4, and I downscaled from 8. So
Oh, wow. Okay.
yeah.
That's definitely multi-biking to me. All right, amazing. A bit more about your childhood now. How did your passion for cycling actually begin?
I used to be a runner, and I took running a bit for granted. Everything was very easy. I won a lot. Everything was just too easy, and I was looking for something new. And I went with my dad to a local race where there were a lot of boys who were racing, and there were only like 3 or 4 girls at the start line. And I said, this is what I want to do. I think I can do that too, and I think I can be good at it. So I just there and then convinced myself and my parents that I would be good in something that I didn't know anything about, because the only thing I knew was running and running fast. So I wanted more girls on bikes since that day. And I think I was 16 years old already, a very late age to start racing bikes.
Wow. Yeah, but I mean, we are both from Belgium, so we're used to cycling. There's a big difference between cycling to school and cycling in a race. How was it like to like to do your first race then? Like, how did that come about?
It was very disappointing because, in comparison to running, cycling didn't came as easy, and I had to learn to work for something. And it was actually very good for me as a person to not take things for granted, to not take my physical abilities for granted. So it learned me the hard way that you have to be structured, that you have to have a very clear goal and a very, very clear way to work towards that. So yeah, I biked every day to school. That didn't matter if I was in high school or in university. I just biked to school, and then after school or before school, I trained extra hours.
Wow. And how was it, just taking you back now to this one day where you said to your parents like, "Hey, I want to become a cyclist." How did the parents react? How was that?
Cycling, especially then, and especially for girls, was like it contained nothing. There were like four girls who were exceptionally good because the group was very small, and they actually supported me, and they said, okay, if you want to start riding, then we will give you a bike, a very cheap one, and then we will see where that leads you, and you have to put in the hours yourself. We will not come and train with you. You have to learn how to manage that yourself. So it learned me at a very young age to work for something, because I had to have like an extra job to pay for the kids, to pay for the helmet, because we are with four at home, and I wasn't the only one who was doing sports. So yeah.
Yeah, wow. But it's nice that your parents, like, they let you do it and they gave you the opportunity to then
Yeah.
use the wings they gave you to fly, kind of.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And now, fast forward to today, what inspired you to, like, even now when you have your own child, to continue to cycle?
I met my husband in 2015, and he was racing. He was racing at a very local level. I already stopped for university, so I had like a pause to get my degree, because it wasn't very easy to combine the two things. And because of him, I said, I miss racing. I want to do it again. And maybe cycling has evolved in the 5 years, 4 or 5 years that I wasn't in the peloton. And I remember talking to a Dutch team who was actually very professional for a pro continental team. I said, yeah, I want to start racing again after a break of 4 or 5 years, and I think I can manage. I know how the peloton works. I think I will do a good job. And it actually hit me in the face that after 5 years, the peloton wasn't evolved at all. The races weren't evolved at all. And the organizations that were already putting a lot of effort in races still were the ones putting a lot of effort into the races, but there weren't hardly any new races. There weren't hardly any new faces, and there was 5 years apart. And my husband came with me to the races, and he said the level that we have of accommodation and support in comparison to the level that you have, it is sad. It makes me sad to see that you have to dress yourself in a car, that you have to drive yourself to a race, that you have to provide yourself of things that a team should give you, but there wasn't just any budget, and I was in one of the best teams.
Wow. Maybe for context, for people who don't know so much about cycling, you're talking about peloton, you're mentioning pro. I know there's like different categories of cyclists. Could you just briefly explain the terminology for me?
So, to keep it very basic, you have one bunch, and in the bunch that you see on television, you have the pro teams, like you have Jumbo Visma, you have SD Works. These are like the top level teams in the pro peloton. Then you have like a level below. That's the pro continental teams. Those are the teams who get wild cards to participate in the races. Then you have the local teams, and then you have the teams below that are regional. So you have like four categories. But all of these girls, when it comes to regional races, just race together.
bicycle or your gear when you were a kid already? How does that work when you're in a team? Do you get a lot of supply? Do you get paid for the races you're doing?
It depends, because in my time I wasn't paid to be in the team. I had to pay my own kits. I have to provide myself of a bike. The team, however, managed to get us a lot of accessories for free. They managed to give us food for free. They had soigneurs for us. They had like a lot of volunteers who made the team very professional. For each champion that they had in the team, they provided extra kits. They made sure that we had everything, but we had to pay our own license, because you need a license to ride on the roads. It's say in Belgium or abroad, doesn't matter. So yeah, 5 years ago, it wasn't what it is today. Now it is actually obliged that teams give team kits, give bikes to the riders that they have, especially in pro teams, pro continental teams, because the UCI has these rules that they have to oblige to.
But so would you consider cycling as a job?
It is a job.
It is a job. So why wasn't it paid for so long?
Because the race wasn't sent out on TV, and the most income comes from TV. Sponsorships come from TV. If it isn't broadcast, then people don't see it, and then people don't come to the races at the places. So they don't buy VIP tickets. They don't buy anything. If they don't know about it, then people will not invest in it, and that was the main problem. We only got like, I think, 30 minutes airtime. So the last 30 minutes of a 3-hour race was filmed. That's nothing.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Comparing that to the male cyclist world, it's definitely a big difference. Okay. Okay. I'm going to cycle back a little bit to you deciding to continue the bicycle touring when you're a mom. How was that decision like?
The bike is a very big part of our lives. Of me and of my husband, also of my husband's dad, who passed away sadly, because it was our identity. We didn't want to give it up. It's not because you become a parent that your identity has to change. You can adapt to the new situation, and you can introduce your kid to who you are and what you like to do. And you don't have to put that away in a box, because then you will be miserable, and a miserable parent is not a good parent.
I can imagine that. Yeah. And how is it for your daughter to be on the road with you on a bicycle?
So immediately, not immediately, but I think 4 months after I gave birth, I started riding again with her in a chariot.
Wow.
Yeah, in a chariot, and she is used to it. Even now, when we go out, she asks, "Mom, can I come with you? Mom, are you going to ride? Mom, are you going to run?" So it's a part of her life, because she doesn't know anything else. It's not like that fear that she has that we are leaving her, or that she is missing out on something, because we take her with us on every journey that we do. She knows she's a part of her life as much as anything else. So she doesn't know anything else, so she loves it.
And so, how is your bicycle setup like when you're taking your daughter with you? Probably this changed over time when she was a little kid, like between like a 4-month-old baby and how old is she now?
Almost 3.
Almost 3. There's maybe a different carriage you use. How is the setup like? And do you put this child in front or in the back of the bicycle? I don't know.
My kid is in the back of the bicycle, but the chariot is the same, because Thule has these amazing innovations that the things that they make, they last a long time. They are expensive.
What is the name of the brand?
Thule.
Thule. Okay.
It's a Swedish brand. And so they like invented this chariot that you can use from 6 months old. It depends on how stable your baby is. My baby was a very firm baby, and she was very strong from the beginning. So we could go a little earlier. Until now, the only thing that changed that in the beginning she was in a baby sling, and now she's just in a chair.
So there was a baby sling in the basket, and now there's a chair in the basket.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, interesting. All right. And when you were going on a bicycle with this 4-month-old baby, did you get any looks from people? How was it like in your surrounding when you were just casually cycling around?
Well, the people close to me knew I was going to do it. They knew I wouldn't stop cycling. But I remember the first ride that I did was along the water, and I got these looks mainly from men that were looking at me. What are you doing? Some were surprised and very positive, and others were like, "Oh my God, what are you doing?" Like I was like a circus attraction. Like people didn't see that. They didn't see women on a bike pushing or tracking a carriage. So yeah.
Could you see the baby in the carriage? Because I'm wondering if it's closed and they don't really see what age it has.
Well, it's like you have this sun protection. So you can, everyone who sees a chariot knows that there's a child in there, but they don't see how young it is. But yeah, there's like a sunscreen before it, but the sides are like from this, I don't know the English word, haze. It's like the fly haze to protect the baby from wind and insects and all sorts. So you can see that there is a baby inside, or a child, or a toddler, or whatever it could be.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. Okay. That means that they could see it, of course, but that's also nice that you didn't really get scared of those looks and you just continue to do what you want to do, because in the end, it's just about what you want to do as well. Okay. And then you started to go for a bicycle holiday at a certain time. How was how was it like to go on your first bicycle holiday? What was the bicycle setup like, and how long did you go for? Like, and where did you go actually? Tell me all about it.
I think the first actual bike trip that we did as a family was to Sweden.
Mm.
One of my best friends is Swedish, and I wanted to visit her because it was already a long time ago that I've seen her. It's also a link with cycling because she was my teammate, and we are still friends. So that's also a very nice thing of the cycling community, that you find like-minded people, and that some of these people stay friends for a lifetime. So we went to Sweden for, I think, 11 days. We went by car because we wanted to take our bikes with us. But then I decided to take the mountain bike, the same chariot, because the chariot is adaptable to a walking chariot or a running chariot. So you can take the wheels off, put it in a car, put the extras that you need to build it into a cycling chariot or a walking chariot in the car. We drove for, I think it's 18 hours to Sweden, took the ferry, and when we were there, it was amazing. She came with us uphill, downhill. We have to take it a little bit slower because it's actually very hard to push or pull the chariot, for better sake. But yeah, then my husband just pulls her and I ride next to him, and we stop a bit more to show her the surroundings. We went for walks. We've seen a lot of Sweden in a short amount of time and as a family.
That's amazing. And so that means you can switch the bicycle setup. You can just switch it to be like, okay, 1 hour I pull, 1 hour your husband pulls, and then you just continue the road. Okay.
Yeah, it's very easy.
And how old was the child by then?
9 months.
9 months. So 9 months in, she's being carried around the world already to see Sweden.
Yeah,
That's
she's
beautiful as
already
well.
seen the world and she doesn't even know it. She won't even know it when she's like 16 years old. So, but we have a lot of pictures, so we have a lot of proof.
Could you actually explain a little bit more about how to choose a destination for family-friendly bicycle trips?
It depends a bit on what you want as a family. We are very adventurous, but we like the mix of adventure with tranquility. Sweden was a perfect destination, not only because I visited a friend, but also Because we love nature, and people there are so family minded that they are very open and welcome to your family, who you are, the sports, everything actually. If people would ask me advice on trips to do, then I would choose a country that's already investing a lot in families. Sweden, Norway, but even Turkey is actually a good country to visit because they also invest a lot in families, but the tranquility is a bit less. So it just depends on what you really want to see, what you really want to do. We love nature, and then that was a perfect destination for us.
Yeah. Okay. And how is it like to find accommodation? Because now I'm not sure, like in this particular trip, you cycled during the day and then you came back to your friend's place. Or did you also rent some places? Did you ever go in a tent or a more remote location with your daughter in the meantime?
We had the option to rent a rooftop tent from Thule, but I thought, she's 9 months old. Maybe it's better to have a strict location for it. We decided to rent just a small house near the seaside, and we just planned every day another route from the house on. And we knew if there was something wrong, or she needed something, we could go back to the house without any problems. But I have a lot of friends who just go by tent and by bike, and they just enjoy nature, and they go off the grid for like 2 weeks, and they are very happy when they come back. So it depends on how much luxury you think you need.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can also imagine that maybe definitely because this was also the first trip, you also want that safety for your child and for
Yeah.
you never know what's gonna happen. It's not even one years old yet, so
Yeah.
probably that as well. And after this first journey, did you go on another bicycle trip as well with her, which looked a little bit different?
I already did so many trips that I don't even know.
Okay.
We went to France. I think France was also by car, and we also rented a place. I think that's the we I don't like the hustle to put my tent up and to drag her into a tent because I like adventure. I think that she needs to be a little bit older to comprehend what it is sleeping in tents, sleeping with her parents, because now she has the luxury to sleep in her own room. Only when we are traveling, then it doesn't really matter for her because she knows what it is. But I think when she's like 5 years old, then we can introduce the tracking principle, because for now, for me personally, I think she's too young.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I totally get that. So, what do you think is the biggest difference then between like solo bikepacking or solo bicycle touring, however it's formed, and then cycling now as a family? Like,
I think the biggest difference is that you have someone with you that depends on you, that isn't at a stage in their life that they can single-handed do anything. Like when you have a small kid, they need you to feed them, they need you to nourish them, they need you to love them on every time of the day that they think of it. But going on bike trips, they learn that you're not 24/7 available, that they have to learn to enjoy nature, that there's not only a television around, that there's something like trees and rain and sun, that there's so much more in the world, and they learn to be patient. We already see so many fast things on television that they just need to learn to appreciate nature. And that is the main thing as a parent that I want to show her, that you have the rush of life. That is like our weekly schedule when we have to go to work, she has to go to school, and then when you're on vacation, you need to detach from everything and connect again with your surroundings.
yeah,
Whilst when you're alone, you do whatever you want, whatever you want. You go for how many hours you want. If my husband wants to stop, we stop. If he wants to go on for 6 hours, then you go on for 6 hours. That's the big difference. You have someone who depends on you versus when you're alone and you only have to ask the person who is an adult, do you want to go on or do you want to stop? What are we going to do? It's a very big difference.
yeah. Yeah, I get that. Because you're not explaining that there is a big difference, but is there any must-have items that you would say like, okay, so if now somebody's listening to this podcast and they're like, okay, actually I really want to try this, but I don't know where to start. We already talked about how to choose a destination. How do I choose which items to bring? Because I'm on a bicycle, I don't have like plenty of space.
So the advantage of the chariot is that you have a lot of space. So the more you put into the chariot, the more it weighs, but you have a lot of space. So if they are young, you need diapers, you need everything to change them, you need food for them, you need hydration for them. But the most important thing is that you need a pacifier. I forgot it like twice, and she can't sleep without it. So you need to bring the thing that your child needs the most. For some, it's a pacifier. For some, it's like a little bunny. I always brought books with us. So if she was like bored of looking outside, she had something to read. But yeah, you need the basics to nourish them, and you also need to give them something to, in their mind, kill time.
Okay. Yeah, so kill time thing is then the book, or it could also be like a toy that's laying down in the basket as well.
Yeah, we had all different things. I say books, but she always had like this tiny cube that she was playing with. She had like a book who made noises, so she was actually learning something. Yeah, we had all sorts of things that she could use during the ride. Always an extra set of clothing. You never know what's happening. And you have the space in the chariot. Then things that they need to entertain themselves, books, toys, whatever you think that they like to play with.
What I wanted to know as well is like, can you share one of the most heartwarming or unexpected moments you had like as a family on a cycling trip? Was there one moment that stuck out that you will not forget?
We already did so many things that I find family very important, and I find being together very important. And as much time as we can spend together is, for me, time well spent, because I said it today on my Instagram, we take time for granted, and before you know it, the people that you love aren't actually around. So I can I can pick one moment because I cherish every moment that I have with my little family. So yeah, all of the moments are beautiful.
Yeah, okay, but that's also really nice to hear. Okay. I want to play a little game, this or that, and if that's okay.
Yes.
So I just want you to choose between one or the other and then briefly explain why you choose the one over the other. All right. Wild camping or cozy guest houses?
Cozy guest houses.
Yeah.
Because with tiny humans, it's very hard to adapt to nature, and I think that's maybe because of society showing us that it's not possible, or just me putting it in my head that it's not possible. But I like to have some certainties when it comes to providing for her and also for myself. I call myself a queen because I did the camping and everything, and when there's 5 days past in the rain, I like a hot shower. So yeah.
Okay, that's great. Long distance touring or weekend adventures?
Weekend adventures. I am here for the new explorations, the new things. The life is already predictable enough, so we can make it unpredictable by being adventurous and discovering new things. So yeah, definitely that.
So you prefer to go on a short term holiday, like in the weekend between work, rather than going on a long holiday, basically.
It depends a bit on what I need the most. I like weekend getaways because weekend getaways make my batteries reloaded for the new work week. But I always look forward to longer vacations too. But I know that the heartbreak when they are over are so much bigger, because you were like this long period together with your family, and then you have to go back to reality, to working whilst when you are away for 2 or 3 days. Then you know, okay, I've got it. I've got my holiday. Now we can we can go back to work and the batteries are fully reloaded and we are ready to smash it again.
Okay. Cycling as a form of activism for sustainable traveling, or cycling just because you love it?
I found the boat so important, so that's a very, very hard one. I'm going to give an example. My daughter goes to school now, and I always pick her up by bike. So I find it just so important because we need to learn that things are possible without a car. When the weather is a bit better, I try to go to work with my bike as well because it's like a 2-hour drive by bike. But I love like just riding with no destination, and because I love it. So it's a very hard question. And do I have to choose?
You don't have to choose, that's fine.
The both of them are important. One for me and my mindset, and the other for just my family and the environment.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess they also go hand in hand because if you have fun with it, that doesn't mean that it's not good for the environment. And some things which are important to shift in our mindsets don't always have to be boring.
I just rather go by bike to the store or to pick up my daughter than to be stuck in traffic. It's just way faster, and she gets some fresh air. I get some fresh air. Yeah, I just rather ride in the rain with her for 10 to 15 minutes than I have to be stuck in my car for 30 minutes in traffic. So, yeah, it's just that's the main reason, actually.
Quickly jumping a bit more on that because I think it's interesting to hear that because in Belgium we have a lot of rain. So that means that you're definitely cycling quite some time under the rain. You probably have good gear, I'm hoping. But a lot of people in Belgium that I know, like definitely when you're not living in the city itself, they would take the car anywhere. And I think it's really important to know that we can take the bicycle, but then when this car is standing in the like in the front lane, like next to your house, and then you could stay in the warmth of your car, like have your little heater on, or go on a bicycle, be all wet, arrive in the store all wet, and then come back home. A lot of people would choose to stay, yeah, go by car. What is this mindset like for you? Because how do you continue to choose that? What is this mindset like for you? Because how do you continue to choose that?
I think, first of all, it's anxiety because I just don't like traffic. I get angry and I don't like myself when I get angry. I don't like who I am when I'm stuck in traffic. And even when it's raining, I just like it more than me being angry because I'm stuck in traffic for if you have to do 5 kilometers, sometimes you are driving for 30 minutes. It's horrendous and I don't want to do it. And I think that's just my mindset. And I know we have a lot of rain in Belgium, and I know we have a lot of bad weather in Belgium, but we also have very good days, cold, sunny, but we also have very beautiful spring. And then on these days, I also see people choosing the car. Why? I don't get it, because you are out, you can enjoy some vitamin D. So I just think it's the mindset of people that they, like you say, rather be in the cozy warmth than to take the bike. And yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's also a thing that once you put your mind to doing it, like if you say like, okay, I'm going by bicycle no matter what, and then you continue doing it, it's easier to continue than when you are now stuck in the mindset of always taking the car and you want to shift it, then it's like a harder hurdle to surpass. Okay, next and last, this or that. This or that, carrying all the gear or minimalistic packing.
I'm not for the minimalistic thing, because I have to be honest, I have everything. So I'm not minimalistic. I downsized my bikes because I was racing and I didn't need them anymore. But when it comes to having comfort, what I worked hard for, I will always choose to have some kind of comfort.
Okay, okay, good to know. All right. I also want to talk briefly about the fact that you're a content creator, not only a small content creator. You actually have already 180,000 followers. Am I right?
Yes.
So that's not a small number. Why is it important for you to share your bicycle experience with your followers and on social media?
Like I said in the beginning of our conversation, it actually started with just advocating for more women on bikes during the race, because I thought that the sport was going to die when we didn't have more girls on bikes and more girls interested in riding their bike. So I was advocating for that, advocating for having more money. If we had more money, then we had more races. But if we had more visibility, then we could attract all those things. So my platform actually grew. And also by that, the attention to it grew. And I think that from there on, it grew into me sharing my story that your life doesn't change if you stop racing, because I had to find my identity after I said I was going to stop racing, because racing was like then a very big part of who I was. Also, my social media was a very big part of racing. And I had to discover the bike separately from racing. And that actually led me to other disciplines, to mountain biking, to graveling, to enjoying more the off-road scene and nature. And being a mother, I find it very important to learn my daughter that life isn't a straight line, and that sometimes your vision can change. And that is also something that I share on social media. People grow. The person you were 5 years ago isn't the person that you are today. And that is something that people who follow you on social media should be aware of, that they maybe people who followed me 5 years ago found me more interesting because I didn't have a child and because I wasn't married, to people now these days who are more in my age category, who are parents and who are interested in how to combine the family life. And that is the beauty of social media. I was advocating for more women on bikes, and now I'm advocating for families and mothers on bikes. So maybe my narrative will change in 10 years again.
Yeah, but that's beautiful to hear. And I think as well that you're very right that the public does continue to grow with you as well. So a part of the followers may maybe not be interested in it anymore because they're just not in that stage yet, or they are not interested in that. But also another part also continues to grow. Maybe they were in a similar phase as you earlier, and now 5 years later, they are in another situation as well. So that's also really nice for them to continuing to see that there is representation in this next level as well of women on bicycle. So that's I think something you're contributing to, which is really beautiful and really important. Once you brought your daughter in the whole social media story and your storyline, just as you as a mom instead of you as a cyclist, did you see any way that they started to react?
I actually kept my pregnancy a secret because we had the opinion that I already shared so much of my life, and that was something very personal and something I wanted to enjoy for myself, or just me and my husband and close family, because we didn't actually tell it to a lot of people. Only my closest circle at home knew I was pregnant. So for a lot of people, also at home, it was a surprise when they saw a baby. And a lot of people actually congratulated me on the fact that I kept it to myself, and that they understood that I wanted to enjoy that journey for myself, because a lot can happen during a pregnancy. A lot can happen in the first months. And it's such a big change that I didn't want to share that. I wanted to share the journey after that, after how I managed to do everything, because not everything needs to be shared.
Yeah, yeah, I totally get that. And so once you chose, okay, so now the baby is out, we are sharing this news with social media as well. Did you feel any shift because of you becoming a mother on like specifically social media?
I don't know, actually. I think people will unfollow me when they saw I had a kid, but a lot of people who follow me already had kids. So I think they were very interested in me showing them how I managed to work full time, have a kid, manage to still ride my bike. A lot of people, I think, missed the fact that I wasn't racing anymore. They thought I was still racing. They thought I was still training a lot. And that wasn't very visible in what I shared for them, that they had to make the click, oh, she's not racing anymore, because I had these comments that said, oh, but you're not riding that much anymore. You're not training that much anymore. But I didn't had any goal to train to. I didn't had any reason to ride a lot except for me enjoying the bike. And that's also very hard. And it's not only when I became a mom, but now something that I see happening a lot is that other riders want to label other riders. And in my opinion, if you ride a bike, doesn't matter if you commute or if you ride for the physical part of riding a bike, it's the fact that you ride a bike and that you enjoy what you are doing. And this is what I want to show too, that I'm enjoying what I'm doing. And if people can't relate to my page anymore, then I just say move on, because I'm sharing who I am and what I do. And if you don't like it, then there's the unfollow button, and it's too bad for you, because you will miss out on a lot of things that I can share, and that maybe you will have some information too. So that's my opinion.
Yeah, I feel like in this whole conversation we kind of missed one part as well, because you're now saying, okay, so you stopped doing the cyclist as a pro. Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Did that happen during pregnancy, that you just stopped because you were pregnant and then you just never restarted? And another thing that I'm also considering right now is the fact that it is a job, but it's not well paid. It wasn't really paid to you. So brings us back to the fact that you're also working full time during this whole thing. And we didn't even touch on that, but just how was it like to decide to stop the pro cycling, first of all?
So I was actually riding on a pro level. I did every big race, but I was still working 5 shifts full time. I raced before a night shift. I raced after an early shift. I tried to make a puzzle to make it work so I could enter races. But then I crashed pretty badly. I had 3rd-degree burn wounds all over the left side of my body. It took me, I think, almost 3 months to just recover from the wounds. And then I had to rebuild my whole condition from zero, because that's the fact when you're racing and if you are not training for 3 months, then you need at least 6 to 9 months to rebuild a fraction of what you had. But that also meant that I wasn't working and I didn't have any income. And I was thinking about how can I manage to do something that I love and not being paid for it, because except for the love of the bike, I didn't get anything in return. Then I said to my husband, I will give it another try. I crashed again pretty badly. And I hear people thinking, oh, well, you crash a lot, you can't ride your bike. But the problem is that in a pro peloton, there were a lot of girls from Eastern European countries that came to Belgium, because Belgium has a rich cycling country, to try and learn to ride in a bunch. Try and learn. That meant a lot of crashes, a lot of difficulties, because we knew what we were doing, but you can't control others. Then my husband asked me to marry him, and I didn't know if I wanted to do this anymore, because I didn't want to be patched up on my wedding day. I wanted to be like any other woman, very beautiful in my white gown. And I started to think, maybe I can get anything out of it, because the sport isn't evolving. It was already a decade ago that I was thinking about I could change it. Then I didn't race for 5 years, and I raced for 5 years and nothing was changed. So I was thinking, do I want to do this? Do I want to keep on doing this? Because it's only because I love the bike that I will keep on doing this. Then he asked me to marry him, and I decided in that year to stop in April. So my last race was in April. And I kept on writing. I kept on writing. In my mind, I was still going to race the next year. But then COVID happened. And it wasn't possible with COVID to ride races because you had to do a PCR test. The PCR test had to be negative. You had to pay for the PCR test your own. It was 50 euros for one test. And then if you were negative, then there was like a lottery and only X amount of girls could start. So it was impossible to race. And we all thought that COVID would only last for 2 days, for 3 weeks. And then it was actually 2 years. 2 years of the same hustle, 2 years of the problems of COVID. And then I already decided that I wouldn't race anymore because after 2 years, I was pregnant. So one thing led to another. And I think I grew out of it. I grew out of the sport in terms of a lot of things happened that made me quit the sport without me saying, now I quit the sport.
Mm. Yeah, that's a lovely trip down memory lane, but wow. Okay. And so now you're also a content creator. I'm assuming a lot of people also think that this will make you a lot of money. So you're a big content creator. You're earning the big money through social media. Is that the case?
No, sadly not. It's my dream though. And I think it's a lot of people's dream to earn a lot of money when it comes to content creation, but that's actually the disability of content creation, and especially in the cycling industry. Because in the cycling industry, I'm going to speak for the cycling industry, not for other industries. They expect a lot for free. And a lot of brands don't realize that you put a lot of work into it. You put a lot of thought into it because creating means work. Creating means that you are thinking about a creative process, putting that process into work, and then having a deliverable for that brand. But not only that, you're also networking because if you are a cyclist, you go to events, you introduce those events to the brands that you're working with. So you are not only creating things, but you're also building relations.
Yeah, you're a brand ambassador then,
Yeah.
basically.
Most of the brands think it's normal that you and organize photo shoots that are specifically for their products and give those deliverables to them for free. Put your hours to making those photos for free, paying the photographers out of your own pocket for free. But then I ask them, but you do pay your marketing manager, no? You have a budget for marketing. That's also marketing.
Yeah.
Having a content creator doing all the things that you want is marketing. But yeah, it's very hard to make them see otherwise.
Can you tell me, when you say for free, does that mean they give you a bicycle, they give you some clothes, or what do you get as in return? Because it's not like 100% for free. It's just like there's no money coming in, but there is a goodie coming in.
I decided when I reached a certain level of followers that I don't work for free. So all the things that I put on my Instagram that are shot very directly, that are tagged very directly, is actually paid content because I put a lot of work in it. I put a lot of work in organizing my own photo shoots with my husband, going abroad to events, networking, teaching other people, especially brands, especially the marketing managers from the brands, how to work. So I don't work for free and I don't work for goods because I can't pay my mortgage with a bottle. It's just not possible. Someone said it to me. If we could pay our mortgage with bottles, then we would have a mansion. So no, it's not possible. I work and I want to be compensated for my work. And I don't think in any company, if you have a corporate company who has, for example, a lawyer, that he will work for pencils.
Yeah. Now, I totally feel you on that. I'm at your side exactly. It's resonating a lot, but a lot of brands still want this. So just to clear it up, like for people who are listening and who really are not like in the creator atmosphere, what would brands propose you for free? Like when you were mentioning the free package earlier, what would they be coming to you like as a free package?
We will give you X amount of money to buy products from our website. Then you have to post X amount of times in a month, post X amount of times on your stories, organize a photo shoot with our products visible, then deliver those photos to us so we can use them on our own socials. And that is all for example, free food.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's crazy. I actually recently talked to someone and she was explaining that she received a bicycle. I'm not going to name the brand, but she received a bicycle. It was quite an expensive one, I would say, but of course, the price they're selling it is not the price they're producing it for. But it was like a 17,000 euros bicycle she received. Before that, she needs to post every week for 1 year about this brand and then tagging them as well. And like these kind of deals, I wonder, is that okay? Like, is that still, can brands still get away with this?
But I think if you get a 17,000K bike, if you divide the content that she makes through a week, through a month, through the price that she would ask, they can ask for more because they are delivering a very expensive product.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
if
yeah,
if the bicycle is actually hers, a food has an end date. After the collaboration, it's her product and she can sell it and then she has profit of that bike. You always have to look at what do you get, what is the worth of the product that you get, what is the deliverable asked by the company, is it in reason? I think it's 4 times a month. That's normal because everyone is actually, if you're into cycling, 1 time in a week on their bike. So if you get a 17,000K bike, what is actually very expensive, it's I think one of the most expensive bikes on the market, then
yeah.
I think that's a pretty great deal.
You also shared a little bit about the brand collaborations, that the fact is important that you need to get paid. So in this case, okay, it's like a nice deal because it's a very expensive bicycle, but on the long term, we cannot continue every year to get a new bicycle, but then we still don't have the money. What do you consider when partnering with brands to make sure that you can get a good deal out of it?
I think the first and the most important thing for me is the vision of the brand. I don't work with any brand. They have to fit me and my lifestyle, fit into my family.
Mm-hmm.
And then I will decide if I work with a brand, not because of the money that they offer me, but the vision of the brand is very important to me. And if they are willing to grow together with you, because a lot of brands think you are the perfect fit for them. And then if you share your vision with them on certain things, then they are like, oh, okay, but we don't expect you to think for us, or we don't expect you to think with us. And then I think, yeah, but I want to grow. And if you don't want to grow, then I don't think we're on the same line. And then I don't think that this is a good match.
Yeah, that's important. And now circling back to the fact that you're a young mom, did anything change in brand deals for you?
It opened doors that I wouldn't have had when I wasn't a mother. For example, Thule is a very family-oriented brand that makes it possible for families to go on adventures, to be active, to still continue to do what you love, but as a family. And I don't think I would have this partnership when it wasn't for her, because we fitted in that picture perfectly and they fitted in our picture perfectly. And they are such a kind and understanding brand in every way. And they're so supportive of families that it was a perfect match.
That's beautiful to hear. And do you think you see any difference between like new moms and new dads in the brand deal atmosphere?
Well, there's one interesting story I can tell is that my daughter was, I think, 2 months old, and I started to discover workouts again, and I was thinking and talking to my husband, how can I go out with a bike? I still have to breastfeed her. I still have to pump my milk. And he said, well, it's very easy, honey. You pump your milk, you put it in a fridge, and then you go out, and you can go out as long as you want, because you need to pump again, and because otherwise your boobs start to hurt. So you have to be home on time. But you can go out. I will watch her, and then you have your time free on the bike, and you can discover who you are and what you want, and put your mind to something else. And there was like this very big brand, one of the biggest brands in the cycling industry, who was sponsoring a new dad on the block. And my husband commented on that picture, and he said, if you are choosing to promote parents, why do you pick the dad? Because I can go out easily for hours, and I don't have to think about anything, just that I'm back in time for the food on the table. Whilst if my wife goes out, then she has to think about, oh, I can't go out for long because I need to pump. I have to make sure I have sunscreen with me because I still can get a mask because of the hormones that I have. She can go out as long as she wants because the baby needs her. So why are you choosing to promote new dads whilst there's a lot more stories when it comes to women? And their answer was that they blocked him.
Yeah. So they didn't answer at all. Did your husband decide to do anything like with that being said? Like, did he try to reach out to their team to file a complaint or say anything?
We found it very sad, and it actually it made our belief in the big corporate companies very small. Nonetheless, to say I wouldn't promote it to anyone, but it's just because that brands look at hypes. Mothers 2-3 years ago weren't a hype. They didn't find it important. And to every brand, I say, every type of rider is important. Every type of rider has a certain following base, a certain audience that they reach. Mothers are also audience. Mothers or girls who want to get pregnant and still want to ride need some kind of kit that is adaptable to pregnant women. I'm actually advocating for that to different brands, and they'll say, oh, that's a very good idea, but they won't invest in it. So they all say, or the most of them say, oh yes, we are open to it, and we're so diverse and everyone is welcome. Then give me the brands that are open to mothers. Give me the brands that are advocating for pregnant women on bikes. Give me the brands who endorse more women in that stage of their life.
Do you feel like these brands, like now in Belgium or in Europe, they just don't exist so much? And so you have to go to the more traditional brands to tell them what you need? Or do you also think there's like upcoming brands who really focus on this at the moment?
I think the upcoming brands are better at it because they understand their audience more. They understand social media better. I think the brands who are already a long time on the market are thinking, oh, we made our name, we don't need that. I always say, if you don't hop on the train when he's passing by, then you're too late.
Yeah.
So the traditional brands need to widen their vision, and diversity is more than skin color.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah, it's a part of it, but it's not all of it. It's so much broader in the society, of course. And there's so many moms. Come on, there should be something out there already with this amount of people who want to get pregnant, who are pregnant. Like there's enough people who would be interested in the product. So maybe there's more an issue in the higher levels that they just don't want to make the effort to really start doing it. They don't see the necessity yet. Hopefully this changes in the future.
Maybe.
Talking about the future, how do you envision your evolution as a mother, cyclist, content creator in the upcoming years?
We are thinking about an expansion of our family. So that will be a new challenge, because I then have to make sure I can divide my time between 3 individuals. We will also have a big impact on how we travel. It would also have a big impact on what we do on a day-to-day base. But like I said before, if you can change your vision and adapt to the situation, then I think it's possible to still enjoy everything that you do, but just on a slower level. So we will see what the future holds. We are still doing some traveling. We are going to Sweden back again because my best friend is getting married. So we are visiting her. We are doing some content creation there for brands that I work with. We are riding there on our bikes. We are going to Morocco, what is without our baby. That's also very important, maybe for parents. Take some time with just you and your partner, because that's so important that you are, besides a parent, also a couple, and you can't lose yourself in the parenthood.
Yeah, I don't have so many people around me who have started a family yet, but I also have seen it in like a further away family members that they are always with their kids all the time since now 3 or 4 years, and I'm like, oh, that's a lot.
It's what I intend to say is that you are more than a parent. You are your own individual. You are a parent, but you're also someone's loved one, and you need to find time to do that.
Yeah, today is actually Valentine's Day, so it's a perfect day to advocate for more love. Actually, I had one more question before changing the topic to the final one. You were mentioning that you have multiple brands. Would you mind sharing which brands you're working with?
I have so many that normally I have to write the list down. The main important ones are Scott, Thule, 3 Point, Sirocco. Yeah, I think I have some else, but yeah, that's the main important ones. And there's some contracts that are lying on the table that I still have to make a decision on, because they will impact some other things. So yeah, I think the main important ones are the ones that I just mentioned.
Yeah. And so when you're working together with one brand, these are the ones you're talking about, the bigger, important, more important ones are always like at least for 1 year that you're working with them? Or how does that then work?
I like to sign contracts for 2 years because I love durability. And it also shows that brands want to invest in your relationship together, that they want to grow together, that your vision is the same. I don't like to change brands because then it shows that who you choose to work with, you don't value that. And if you don't value that, then you're a brand hopper. And brand hoppers are people who just take anything that they can get, and they don't put any value in the relationships that they have. So I think I'm now already working with Scott for 5 years. I think Thule, well, 3 years now, because my daughter is becoming 3. The main brands that I work with are for a long time, and it's always heartbreaking if we part ways, but mainly it's because they evolve in something new or I evolve in something new, and it's not because we have a disagreement or something. So I always go for the long term. That's very important to me.
Yeah. But you're still working as well. Like you were talking earlier about the fact that you were working. You're still working full time right now as well.
Yeah.
So you're working full time. You're a mom. You're a wifey.
Yeah.
You have a family. You're building a house. You're are a content creator working with like 5 brands or more. I've heard now. So I mean that's a lot to put under one head.
Yeah.
Congratulations on that. I mean, managing all of that already seems like a lot.
I have a good support
system. Me and my husband are a good team. I have wonderful grandparents to my daughter. They are very supportive. I love them to bits. They know who they are. I also have very good friends who love us and who say, well, if you want to go riding, they are not into cycling, but they say if you want to go riding, then drop her here and go for a ride or two, and then come back and come pick her up. So I think the most important thing of having kids is having a good support system and be very grateful for the people that you have in your life.
That brings me to the last question. What do you say to parents who think cycling with their children or cycling holidays is too difficult for kids? What do you want to say to them?
It's in your head. We have to think about difficulties as hurdles, like you say. But I always find it that we make things harder than they are. I said to my brother the same thing. Some things aren't as hard as they look, and you just have to give it a try. And maybe the first time it will be hard because it's something new that you are doing. But then you will learn the second time, oh, that wasn't working the first time. We're not doing that anymore. The second time you're throwing things around and we're doing it the other way. If you don't try it, then you don't know if it's something that will work for you. But maybe you are missing out on something great. And that is actually for everything in life. It doesn't matter if it's about kids or it could be about a new job. It could be about content creation. It could be about anything that you think about in your life. If you think it's hard and it won't work and you will fail, then you will certainly fail at it.
Yeah, it's all in the mind, and it's a
Yeah.
mindset thing. I guess the same as the rain. When it's rain, just continue, just go
Yeah.
by bicycle anyway. All right, to end of the conversation, I always ask my guests 9 questions. It's always the same questions. So if you're ready for the closure, we can go. How old are you now?
32.
How old were you the first time you traveled to another continent?
I think my parents took me to Asia, but I'm not sure. I'm going to say the first trip with my husband was to Indonesia, and then I was 23, so I will keep it to 23.
Amazing. Okay. What's the longest time you've been away from home?
I think only 2 weeks. I don't think I was away longer than 2 weeks.
Okay. Would you rather see a lot of places or get to know one place really well?
A lot of places.
Would you rather save money on accommodation or pay for a good bed?
I would say safe, because I always say the tents are horrible to sleep in, but I'm always happy that I did it. So, yeah.
All right. What word would you teach a foreigner who wants to learn your language, and what is your language?
My native language is Dutch. What would I teach them? Oh, yeah. We always made fun of the foreign girls in our team. And the word that we taught them that was very important in the race was laatste ronde.
Laatste ronde.
So you knew if they were heard laatste ronde, that they had to be in front and be ready for the sprint. So laatste ronde, yeah.
And what does it mean? Can you translate it?
Last lap. So last lap before the end of the race, then they ring the bell, and then you could hear everyone of our team screaming from every place in the bunch, laatste ronde, and then we knew that we have to be in front to be ready for the sprint. So yeah, it was actually a very nice memory.
Perfect. Okay. What can't you travel without?
As a content creator, my phone, and even as a mother, my phone, because it's so easy to just, if she's not with me, to call her, to FaceTime.
Yeah.
So yeah, my phone.
We all need it. All right. What's your favorite travel song?
My favorite travel song.
Or a song you like to listen to when you're on a bicycle?
I always let Spotify choose, mostly 90s songs because I'm a 90s kid, mostly Rihanna or something like that. But I'm so diverse when it comes to music because I love the Foo Fighters as well as Rihanna. I love rock and pop, so I can't choose one specific song. No, just Spotify can choose for me.
That's okay. All right. Why do you travel? Last one.
I travel because I want to experience and see other cultures, to evolve myself as a human and to widen my vision on life, and to know that what we have in Belgium is some type of luxury, and to not take things for granted, because traveling is also a form of luxury. Doesn't matter how you do it. And when I visit any country, I always try to eat local. I always try to support the local people. And it reminds me of our life, what we have, and how grateful we have to be born in a country like Belgium. And also to have some experiences that I can give to my daughter, to my family. It's about evolving in so many ways.
That's beautiful. All right. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. Now, my very final question, of course, is where can my listeners go ahead and find you?
My name on every social media is Bertoni. If you type it in Google, you will find my Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. I don't post a lot on YouTube because it's like a platform that I'm not very known to. I will try to share my Morocco story this year on YouTube because I find it important. It's like the edition where they want 100 women on the start line, so they invest in women. So I will try to upload that on YouTube. So basically, my name is Bertoni. It's actually not Fatima, it's Bertoni, and everyone knows me by that. And you can find me on all of the platforms under that name.
I will link it in the show notes. It's also Bertoni, but 4 I's at the end.
Yeah.
All right. Perfect. Okay. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
This was Travel Devil, brought to you by me, your host, Clara Francken. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to continue the conversation or suggest any future guests, you can go to my Instagram @Clara Francken. Take care, and I will see you next Thursday.